Hi everyone, I'm Phaedra. Welcome or welcome back. I love to garden and share how to garden with you. Today I'm showing you how to multiply this gorgeous flower. This is Matricaria Tetra White, but this method works for all Matricaria and Feverfew. And it's how to take cuttings from the existing plants. And this is a much quicker way to grow your Matricaria or Feverfew, and it's a much quicker way to rotate your crops. But I've just done this now. I'm going to show you how to do it, and these ones will be ready to plant out in about 2 or 3 weeks. So let's get into it. I'm taking cuttings of my Feverfew, the Tetra White. I'm just soaking this soil first, so it's nice and moist when the cuttings go in. These are my Tetra White Feverfew. We can't get the seed in Australia anymore, so I'm taking cuttings, and the plan is to build up a really good stockpile so I can then grow them out for seed. I've soaked my soil. It's really moist now because we want to take the little cuttings and put them straight into the soil, and they will strike in, I don't know, probably less than a week. It's really fast. So we're going to see how many cuttings we can get. So all you're doing is finding a nice healthy side shoot and you're plucking it off. Clean the lower leaves off, and that's going straight into the soil. Push it down nice and far until it hits the foliage or hits the bottom of your little tray. So some of these are a little bit small. This is a little bit small. I've just pulled one off that was a bit small. If you leave those, they'll grow out a little bit more and you'll be able to get them as a really nice size cutting like this. At this size, they're almost still just a leaf. And this one here is a little bit too big. It's got a little bit too much, and it's also got the flower head on it. A little bit too much, you know, like meat on its bones to actually do okay, especially in this heat. So you're just going through, you're looking for nice size. This one's alright. The side, it's got, especially all that, it starts to go a little bit woody. That's really good. I've got 40 cuttings now, and I just need these plants to grow a little bit more to get some of those smaller shoots to grow out so I can take more cuttings. But now what I want to do is show you a little trick if you're growing Feverfew or Matricaria out to take cuttings. Especially like me, I've got a small amount of something and I want to multiply it by a lot. I'm going to show you some tricks to get really good cuttings really quick. So you can see on some of these plants, they have the little side shoots fairly down in the ground. This was one that was a good example. So if they're fairly low down, especially under the soil level, this one's too big. This one's too big, but I'll show you from that. So you can snap it off down, pushing down close to the stem. This one's really hard to get off. Oh, it's big. But because it was under the ground, it's actually already got a root system. Sometimes you can find that type of a situation on a much smaller cutting. Let's see, no, that one doesn't. Oh, it's just got a little tiny amount of roots on that one. But to increase that, the probability of that happening, you can mound up the plants with soil right around the base. So you can just go around all the plants and you're just kind of pinching the soil so it's sitting up in around the base of each plant, and that's going to encourage it to develop the root system nice and high up around those side shoots that we want to take for cuttings. The other trick is you want to cut the flower heads off, and it's going to promote branching from the sides. And I know this can be really hard to do, but in this case we don't have very much of this variety, and the whole purpose is to increase what we've got. So you can just go through, cut them all off. This one's a really big one. It's going to be sending up tall pieces rather than spreading out sideways and developing those little side shoots. And there we go, we've got some lovely cuttings of Matricaria or Feverfew. It's the same thing, I just use the name interchangeably. So you want to wait until they've developed their root system, and then you can move them into the sun for maybe a week, keep them moist, and then you can plant them out. I've now got the Feverfew in the shade house, but one thing I forgot to mention is don't be worried if all of those tops die off or the majority die off. It will send up new shoots. So what will happen usually is the roots will develop, the leaves die off a fair bit, and then it'll throw out new leaves. So don't panic if that happens. Just, I always say, sit on your hands and trust the process and just wait. As long as you've kept it moist, you've picked them at a good stage, so they're not too small, they're not too big. You've kept them moist and they've got sort of, moderate sunlight. You don't want direct sun on them. They'll be fine.